Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey there folks, Colin here from the Home Building Hub, sitting with co-host Darren Brennan for you today. We're going to be covering and getting into a bit of detail about what is a base price, and we'll cover off on a little bit more information for you. So this is really for people who, at that point of going through the quotes and things like that, we're going to give you different episodes that outline now the detail. We've given you an overview episode already of the main things you can find in a building quote. Now we're going to give you episodes that really get into the nitty-gritty of what those things are. Okay, so today's one is about a base price. We're going to get right into that, Darren. But before we do, how you going, mate? You good?
Mate, going fantastic, Cole. I noticed you've ditched the suit, mate, but you've got up early enough to get your hair done, and I did the same, as you can tell. So
looks
I
sharp.
thought I'd got the hair done, mate. Got the hair done, so we're looking good, ready to go, mate. Looking forward to another good episode, mate.
Well, we did do, yes, that's true. I did do an episode last week in the suit and tie, just as a social experiment, just to see what results we'd get, Darren, see if I could provide even more value to the listeners. Unfortunately, though, it's proven to be didn't make a difference. That's the conclusion. Yeah. So I've got feedback from...
The conclusion is the suit did nothing.
No, it
didn't perform. And it cost you a fortune by the look of it, man. It was pretty
That's
sharp.
right. So we're going to have to, fund a few more things and need your help now. So all 7 of our listeners said, no, it didn't make a difference. That's that's how it is. But anyway, it's good for a bit of fun. Yes. So I guess we'll kick into the serious stuff, Darren. I'll begin here with the first question and for you to answer. So for people that are in this part of the process, tell us, mate, what is a base price?
Well, I'm going to jump back one step and say we've got a disclaimer. Better do the disclaimer. I put you off, Colin. That's what I've done. But the disclaimer says, whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered as legal or financial advice. It contains general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your personal situation before making any legal or financial decisions. Now kick off on your question. So what is a base price? So base price really represents the price of that particular home design. And it's represented by a set of standard inclusions and a base floor plan. So I think, I've always explained it that way to people when I've been, sitting through documenting off, what is this house? What's this number at the end? $251,000. What is that getting you? And that's getting you that standard set of plans, and it's getting you the specification list that comes with that. And then that's sort of broken down a bit further, I guess, and we'll talk through that further. But it certainly is more complex than those two documents. But in essence, that's what you're getting for your money. I guess it's what's that made up of? Somewhat, it is it's determined by the overall cost of materials and and the cost to construct the home, and that's what the builder's really looking at. There is. What is the real breakdown of that cost, and how do they come up with that? And they'll work through that themselves to come up with a number that represents hopefully good value for you, but represents a cost that's going to cost them to construct that home as a standard house. And that's essentially saying it's almost like saying it's floating above the ground, Colin, because they don't know, when they create the base home, what your block is and where that's going to be, what orientation, etc. that's going to be. So, obviously that takes into account their builder's margin on that as well. And that's pretty much your base price as a real high overview. I guess, Colin, back to you, mate. What's included in the base price?
Yeah, so as we talk about base price itself, it really represents the price of a set of standard inclusions. Now, as you already said, Darren, there's a term that some builders refer to. It's called specification. So it means inclusions, basically, the standard inclusions, just in case you come across that term. But essentially, the reason it's so confusing and difficult for people to work price out from one builder to the next is because different builders obviously have different levels of inclusions. So you might come across a builder that has the most basic of basic standard inclusions, and as a result, their base price is more likely to be cheaper. And you might have a builder, I suppose, a bit more like the strategy that we use at H&L Victoria. We load the base price right up with everything you need. Really no need for a promotion on top of it. And naturally, that means you've got everything included that you need in the base price. But as a result, our base price is more likely to be much more expensive than, the first example of the basic builder. Okay, so it doesn't mean one's right or one's wrong. It just means that there's a starting point, and some builders start quite basic and low, some start really, really high. And then what you've got to work out is, okay, now I know what my standard inclusions are. What do I need to upgrade or add on via, spending on those upgrades, or perhaps a lot of builders do promotions to get extra items upgrades through kitchens and whatever you want to spend that money on. So that's the first thing to note for me, Darren. It depends on the different strategies that the builder uses in terms of what they want to start off with. And even within a builder like Metricon for you, Darren, some builders have different ranges that address different levels of inclusions as well. So you might have an entry-level range for a first home buyer or an investor, and that'll only start with the real basics. And then you might have, like I think Metricon has the signature range, and that will already come with a whole bunch of goodies that essentially cover off most of the, as you'd expect, level sort of inclusions if you're buying that higher level or a premium level range. Okay, so to help you understand how this sort of works, most builders will have a document, I call it a detailed document, called an inclusions document, specification list, or standard inclusions document, whatever it's referred to, and it will literally outline detail of what those inclusions are. And in some cases, the builder might even outline the model they're using, like the type of tapware they're using, etc., whether it's a Westinghouse appliance or whatever it may be. And sometimes they keep it pretty generic. It just depends. But I think one of the most confusing things, Darren, for clients is to go through that list, because it becomes very complex, confusing. It's full of jargon. Like there's certain things that people don't necessarily understand what it even means, but it's still listed in the specification document. So what I'd suggest as a quick tip as we go through this is read your detailed specification document, of course, that represents what you get as standard in that floor plan you're looking at, or that home design range you're looking at, but also request to see if there's a virtual tour or an image-based document that represents those standard inclusions. So there used to be not many DAS, but I think most builders have those now. So there's like a nice marketing material, either online or physical one you can go through. It's basically got a picture of a standard kitchen, and it'll have like what we call call outs, So number one, that's the appliance you get. Number two, that's the tapware you get. Number three, that you get Caesar stone or whatever it is. Okay, so that, ask your consultant or your builder for something like that, because that would be really helpful to give you, for people who are more visual than detailed, because everyone's a little different. That will help you understand, okay, that's my starting point. That's what I get as standard. And now that'll help you then understand, well, what do I need to add on top to meet my needs and wants list? Okay, so they're probably that's probably the main thing you got to look for. What else have I got here? Which is sort of covered. I like your idea, Darren. The house hovers above the ground, because one thing to understand is that the builder can only price the inclusions that are in the house, or to the cost to construct those, or for the materials and the labour. They can't price up things like site costs, because it varies block to block. They also can't necessarily include things like estate covenants or requirements that you need on or in your house at that estate. So it might be recycled water, or water tanks are needed in the estate you're going to build in. The builder doesn't usually, some do, but most don't include those as standard items, because they're not necessarily required, or at the very most, they don't know if they're required at the time they're pricing up the standard home. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. What else can we add there, Daz?
I think a couple of things that certainly people can do too. If they are visiting a display home, they can ask the consultant there to take them on a tour through the home and actually show them the standard items. So they can certainly do that. which is a good way to go. And also if you're going to a colour studio to do a colour selection. So some people choose off colour boards, so you may not get that opportunity, but usually the colour boards will give you pretty clear direction of to the items you're going to actually get. But if you're going to go into a colour studio, it might be worth getting a tour to understand what that looks like. And again, some builders will or won't offer that. So it's, ask the question, and if it's something that's going to help you make a buying decision, and feel more comfortable about what you're doing, then ask to do a tour if that's available. I think it's also really worth noting that within the builder's standard range, the actual choosable items can vary quite a bit too. So one builder might offer 2 standard bricks. So they say, we include a standard range of bricks, but you get 2 bricks. And the next builder might include 8 or 10 bricks. So, again, their base price might be slightly higher, but they're offering more choices within that. The same can apply for stuff like roofing. So some builders will include roof tiles in one style in 3 or 4 colors, and the next builder offer roof tiles in 3 styles in 10 different colors, so you've got much more choices. And then the next builder offers those same choices plus color bond all included in the base price. So it's worth understanding the different choices that are available there for that customer. Same can be with stone bench tops. You might have 1 or 2 colors that are included, or if it's even included in a promotion, it might only have 1 or 2 colors. The next builder's offering 8 or 10 colors. So their standard range varies, as well. So I guess it's just asking more questions so that you feel more comfortable about what you're going to get, so that you don't get a few surprises later down the path. So it certainly can help in that fashion. As I mentioned, the standard inclusions varies a lot between builders. So, and also the promotions, if they're offering a promotion, can vary a lot between builders. So, that's why it becomes so difficult to compare apples to apples, and if you were to compare Metricon's offering to House and Land Vic's offering, they're going to be vastly different just in how they present, so it can be really difficult. And I guess it's not just judge the builder on one thing. So if it's just on price, don't just judge on price, or any one component. You really need to factor in the total price. So what does that overarching value get? It's a bit like when you buy a cheap airfare, you can buy the $59 ticket from Melbourne to Sydney, but you can't get bags. The TV doesn't work. You don't get any meals or drinks along the way. But then you jump on a Qantas and all that's included, but the ticket's $120. So it's just trying to understand what are the total that you're going to get, and making sure that you're happy. And pardon me, I guess it's really important to pick the builder that you trust. So in the end, price isn't everything, and I would say, Colin, for me, there's really 4 key factors. So you want to number one, get the floor plan you want. Like, absolutely be trying to get the floor plan you want at a price you can afford, right? But you also want to make sure you're comfortable with the builder, and you also want to be really comfortable with the person that's servicing you from that builder at the point of sale. So if you can get all those 4, and if I gave them a rating out of 10, if all of those 4 items are 7 and above, out of 10, then you're really in the right place to be having a great conversation about building your home with that builder. If you're below 7, you probably want to ask more questions. So either you can move above 7 or realize that you're never going to get above 7 and don't go with that builder. So floor plan, price, consultant, and builder are the 4 most important factors to make sure that you end up with a great home and a great building journey for me. I guess to finish off, there's a list of items that you should be looking for, and these are not limited to, but these would be some of those. So some of the internal items would be flooring. So if the builder's providing flooring, what are you getting and where are you getting it? Higher ceilings, again, most builders will start their homes with a 2400 or 2440 ceiling height, so an 8-foot ceiling. Are you after higher ceilings? Does it include higher ceilings? Again, be mindful of downlights. Are they included, not included? How many do you want? Cooling, is it included, not included? What sort of cooling do you want? Cabinets to your laundry. So if you're wanting cabinets in your laundry rather than a metal trough or a plastic trough that's there, it's certainly worth, understanding what's coming as standard and if you need to upgrade that if it's picked up in a promotion. In the kitchen, ensuite and bathroom, things like stone bench tops. Are you wanting it just to the kitchen? Are you not wanting it all? Is it not important? Are you wanting in bathrooms, ensuite, WCs, etc. Overhead cupboards in the kitchen. Some builders include them, some builders don't, so be mindful of that. A dishwasher, likewise again. Towel rails, toilet roll holders. That's one for me. I would say, even if they're not included, get them included. Because there's nothing worse than you trying to hang them on the wall and they're flimsy and no good, whereas the builder will put a noggin in, they'll be installed correctly, they'll be there for a long, long time and not be wobbly on the wall. So that's one mistake I've made when I built, was not getting those done. Privacy glass to en-suites and bathrooms, so that frosted glass, if that's something that's important to you, you may want to make sure that that is included, again, either in the promotion or not. Maybe a few from you, Cole.
Yep. Before I do, there's a couple of terms there. So WC, you mentioned, is water closet, like basically a toilet as such. And nogging, that's a bit of timber that's put in the frame to support a towel rail or a toilet roll holder. I only raise that because one of the episodes we're going to bring to you very soon is essentially 15 or 20 builder terms in 15 or 20 minutes, just because we're starting to get some feedback from people say that we do gloss over some terms and we didn't realize we're sort of doing that. So we'll try our best to keep it nice and simple and explain these terms as we go along. I guess for me, we're going to talk about some items that you should consider externally and also turnkey items. And naturally, given the different businesses we're in, Darren, our business does provide full turnkey. Most builders actually don't do that. So it's something that just to keep in mind. But the external items, the choice of facade, which is going to be the topic of our next episode. The facade that you choose is definitely something to make sure that you're happy with. And there's some standard ones and some upgraded ones. The brick above windows is a common one. So a lot of builders are really doing the basics of basics and keeping their base price really, really cheap. Then a lot of the time they'll only have the sort of infill panels above the windows, not necessarily bricked above. Won't make a difference probably at the end of the day, but it does look a lot better to have those bricked across the top. So that's one thing that some people do miss. Fly screens and things like that, sliding doors, having fly doors with them as well is not very common for that to be standard. So that's something to look at. Fly screens are commonly standard, I suppose, these days, but yeah, the actual sliding door that's out to the alfresco, for example, it's not very common for a fly door to be bolted on as standard as well. External lighting is something to look at. I think a floodlight outside the laundry or perhaps out the back, if you've got an alfresco or out the back door there. Remotes to garage, more commonly standard, but something to be mindful of as well. The last set of items I'd like to probably just make people aware of are turnkey items. Now, front and rear landscaping, that's what turnkey realistically means. The items to, you get the keys, you walk in, turn the key and you're done. You don't have to do anything else. So some of those are front and rear landscaping completed, fencing and a gate completed, driveway and path, which is something that builders for the most part will do, the driveway and path component.
Absolutely.
Letterbox and clothesline is another couple there. And then blinds throughout. They're probably the key turnkey items that we would include ourselves, Darren, as standard, whereas most builders don't include them at all. And some who do include them, they would have to upgrade those as well. So, there's a list of 4 sets of categories. Go.
Probably on that turnkey item too. And again, if you can get your builders to do it, I'd suggest doing so is a TV antenna. And again, it just means you can move in, it's working straight away. You can have your telly on. You're up and running, and it's installed and warranted by the builder then, which I think is great, particularly given it's going to penetrate your roof space.
So hopefully that list helps you guys. I think just to finish this off, Darren, realistically, please understand that base prices are completely different based on the inclusions. Just to summarize this, the inclusions you get for that standard plan represent the base price represents that. Some builders choose to start low. Some builders choose to start high and include a lot more upfront as standard. And once you pass that point, you've got to then work out based on your needs, your wants, and your budget. Are you going to need, a lot of builders have a promotion. So again, take advantage of the promotion if it includes a pack of kitchen upgrades, for example. then realistically the builder who's priced up their base price has factored in the price of their promotion, which means that they are also essentially, whilst they're giving you a standard level down low, they've also factored in a bit of promotion there and a bit of money to allow you to upgrade some things for free, for example. Okay, so many different promotions, and that's why we say don't get hung up on one item, don't get hung up on one component. You need to look at the overall quote for what it's worth, and like Darren said, there's also the consultant, the floor plan, the builder, not just the price. Okay, so that's probably for me to wrap it up, Daz. That's what I'd say. Do you have anything else to add to it?
No, not at all, Cole. I think that sort of covers it pretty well. I guess if you've got any questions and you want to, and we haven't answered those for you today, by all means, jump on our website and shoot us a message. We'd be really happy to come back to you with any questions you've got that might help you through your building journey. We're there to help, so we're more than happy to do that.
Yeah, it's good, and we're starting to get a few of those questions come through, which is nice. So let us know if you want to know a bit more about myself and Darren. Jump back to the first episode. It's an introduction to us, who we are, our background, our experience, and what the podcast is all about, rather than us keep covering that each time. If you like what you're listening to, please jump on, give us a 5-star review, and also the fee of the podcast, which we usually share, is that we just ask you to pass it on to someone, share it with someone who can get some value out of it as well. That's really important to us. And other than that, I think we can wrap this one up, Darren.
Awesome, Cole. Short and sharp.
Yep. Beautiful. Good on you, mate. Well, thanks for joining, Daz, and thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.
1, 2,